The Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. We're going to talk about it. Who could they play in week one? I know a good team.
You are Locked On Lions, your daily Detroit Lions podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And a pleasant good Monday afternoon, everybody. Matt Dery with you. It's Locked On Lions on the Locked On Podcast Network. Let's play it on a Monday, February 13th, and a Valentine's Day, Tuesday, February 14th. Thanks for listening, checking us out, making us your first listen, watching us on the Locked On Lions YouTube channel, and wherever you get your podcasts. Let's recap this Super Bowl, shall we? A lot to get into as the Kansas City Chiefs have done it again, a second Super Bowl championship under Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid and company as they come back to beat the Eagles last night, 38-35. Got to talk a little bit about the game and everything that we saw last night. Also coming up, Kansas City is going to play the first game of the year next year and open the season on Thursday Night Football in September. Can we start a campaign now for Chiefs Lions? Why not? Tell me why not. Now, I'll tell you who some of these other opponents could be that Kansas City's playing, and it probably won't be the Lions, but let's do this. Super Bowl odds 2023. Yes, the Lions crack the top 10. I'm not joking. And a discussion about quarterback play. We'll do all of that today right here on Locked On Lions. We are proudly brought to you today. Locked On Lions sponsored by BetterHelp. It's not a crisis line. It's not self-help. It's professional therapy done securely online, available to people worldwide. And they have a special offer for Locked On Lions listeners. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/lockedon. Find us on Twitter at Dery Speaks, DERY Speaks, at Locked On Lions on Twitter, the Matt Dery Facebook fan page. And again, watch us each and every day on the Locked On Lions YouTube channel. Subscribe. Your comments are always welcome. We appreciate the time and the energy you put into supporting the YouTube channel. All right, so last night, not a surprise, I don't think. I mean, it was a really good football game, And yes, the halftime was mediocre. Yes, the commercials weren't that good. My wife was totally underwhelmed by the commercials. But the game itself was really, really entertaining. And while it was great, and you can't take anything away from Philly and how hard they played and Kansas City on how hard they played and everything else, the ending to that game last night was awful. Talk about just the balloon popping. Talk about just the air coming out of the tires. 2 minutes to go, tie game, Chiefs driving, third down stop. Stop! Mahomes overshoots Juju Smith-Schuster. He doesn't even turn around or throw up his hands or complain or anything. He's going to the sideline for fourth down. And then all of a sudden, Kevin Burkhardt on Fox says, we have a flag down. Holding on 24, defense, automatic first down. Now, I know what many of you are going to say. Well, Dery, Diesel, James Bradbury said after the game he grabbed his jersey. Give James Bradbury, Eagles cornerback, a lot of credit. He stood up there yesterday after the game. He answered every question and admitted, yes, I held on that play. But this is just my view of it. You can't call that. The pass was overthrown by a lot. And it just wasn't that egregious. Now, if he grabs his jersey, grabs it and tugs at it as the guy's trying to get away and he's totally toasted. Fine. Everybody throw the flag. But I just hated that the Super Bowl was determined on a play like that last night. And don't tell me it wasn't. Now, I'm well aware. Four Chiefs possessions in the second half, 4 touchdowns. Or 4 scoring plays, including the last one, the Butker field goal that sealed it. And man, Pacheco sliding at the 1-yard line, Andy Reid making sure that his guys don't score to give Philly the ball back was brilliant. Remember the Todd Gurley play, Falcons-Lions, a few years ago? Brilliant. Anybody that was upset that Pacheco slid doesn't know football. That was a great play, a smart play. But the minute that flag was thrown, the game was over. That was it. Game over. Butker wasn't going to miss. The Eagles were running out of timeouts, and that ended the game. There was no chance for the Eagles to get the ball back and do anything. Yes, Jalen Hurts got the ball with 6 seconds left and threw an incomplete pass, and the game ended, but the game was over. And that's what bummed me out, because it was a really good game, and I thought that holding call on Bradbury was not that bad. Now, could you say, well, wait a minute, if you call it in the second quarter, you got to call it in the fourth quarter, or you can't just officiate differently down the stretch? A penalty's a penalty. Yes, absolutely. I just did not like that call. I didn't think he held that viciously, that maliciously, and it just ruined what was going to be a great finish. I was excited to see the Eagles maybe get the ball back. Maybe they come down and tie it. Maybe we have overtime. Maybe they come down and win it. I was excited. I was rooting for Philly to get a stop. Not that I really had any rooting interest in this game. I love Brandon Graham from Detroit and all that for Philly, but that ended the game, an official's call. Bradbury, to his credit, said he did it and held and was hoping they didn't see it. How about in the second quarter of the game when Bradbury held Smith-Schuster on a slant? They didn't call that either, and that was much worse. Much worse. He held him and had his left arm draped around his body. So I thought that was kind of a bummer. Another thing about last night, and we can sit here and talk about the Lions drafting a cornerback very high in this draft. Number 6, number 18, whatever. You could make that argument. There can be mock drafts of the Lions taking corners. We've seen mock drafts already, like Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter and guys like that the Lions could grab. Just remember something. Brad Holmes loves himself some defensive linemen. And if you watched last night, Bradbury and Johnson and Slay were all really good cornerbacks. Didn't have a great second half. Why? Because the Eagles got no pressure on Patrick Mahomes all game, really. The pass rush was non-existent. Where was Brandon Graham? Where was Hassan Reddick? Where were, Fletcher Cox and others? The Kansas City Chiefs offensive line won that game for them last night, keeping Mahomes safe in the pocket, upright, never was sacked. You want to add corners? Great. Corners are needed. The Lions need cornerbacks. They got to make a decision about the future of one Jeffrey Okudah. All right. Will Harris be back? All these things. What about Oruwariye? All that stuff. I'm not bringing it back. Who are we kidding? But you got to have a pass rush. You got to have down linemen that can get to the quarterback and disrupt what he's trying to do. Last night, Patrick Mahomes, NFL MVP, was not sacked once. Very little hurries, very little quarterback pressures. And the Chiefs' offensive line, which has had its moments this year where they haven't played all that well. A guy like Orlando Brown last night was awesome. They played really well and won the game for the Chiefs. So there's that. One other note I want to get to on the Super Bowl. We will do that coming up next. I got plenty more to do here on this Monday edition of Locked On Lions. But first, this Locked On Lions program and this podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp. When you're at your best, you do great things, but sometimes life gets you bogged down and you may feel a little bit overwhelmed. That is why you got to get some help. And there's no better place to go than going online with BetterHelp. Working with a therapist can help you get closer to the best version of you, because when you feel empowered, you're more prepared to take on everything life throws at you. That is why talking to the folks at BetterHelp is the right call and a great call. All right. If you're looking for therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It is a great option. As I wrestle with my papers here, it's convenient. BetterHelp is flexible, affordable, and entirely online. Just fill out a brief questionnaire or get matched up with a licensed therapist. And you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. If you want to live a more empowered life, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. All right, so we are back here on a Monday edition of Locked On Lions, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Hope everybody had a great time watching the Super Bowl last night, etc. Chiefs are the world champs. Lions, of course, lost to the Eagles earlier in the year, 38-35. Now the Eagles lose to Kansas City in the Super Bowl, 38-35. A little irony there. All right, one other thing about the Super Bowl, and I haven't heard anybody really mention this a lot today, and that is the national anthem last night was fantastic. Chris Stapleton, who's an amazing artist to begin with, broke out the guitar and just killed it. There have been so many people now that try to change the way the national anthem is sang. I, for one, right now, am not Johnny Country at the moment. I've kind of been politically very pushed away. At least my feelings about our country. I'm a proud American and all that, but lately I just haven't been feeling it. But man, to watch that national anthem last night gave me goosebumps. I know Nick Sirianni started crying during it. They showed Jalen Hurts. They showed Travis Kelce. Chris Stapleton just did a great job. It was a great rendition of the anthem. And to me, that was I thought Marvin Gaye's version of the national anthem of the NBA All-Star game, I don't remember what year it was, like early 80s, was incredible. Go on YouTube and watch it. I thought Chris Stapleton last night was as good as I've ever heard. That was just amazing. And it gave you chills, and I rewatched it today. I know Kirk Herbstreit tweeted it out again today. I just thought it was awesome. Like, so good. So props to Chris Stapleton, who's a great artist in his own right. That was as good as it gets when we talk about national anthems, and that really got me excited for the game. And I'm not one to sit here and talk about the national anthem or America or patriotic or airplanes flying or big flags. I was there to watch the game last night, but man, I didn't even know Stapleton was doing it. I knew Rihanna was doing halftime, but Chris killed it. He was absolutely fantastic. All right, so I mentioned this before. I got to get on this soapbox. Next year, the Lions play the Chiefs. There's talk the game might be overseas and Germany or all these things. But Ari Meirov, our buddy from PFF, tweeted out today that the Chiefs will open up next season at home as the defending champs on Thursday Night Football. This is way before the schedule comes out, but they know the defending champions play on Thursday night to open the season, just like the Rams did this past year, etc. The Chiefs could play the Eagles again. They could do a Super Bowl rematch right out of the chute. Probably not, though. The Chiefs could play the Bills in sort of the, not rematch of the Damar Hamlin game, but you know what I mean. The Chiefs could play the Bengals in an AFC Championship rematch. Kansas City could play the Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders in their own division, which is boring. Miami, if Tua is healthy, that might not be bad. The Dolphins made the playoffs. The Bears, Hall of Fields, the greatest running quarterback ever. Or your Detroit Lions. I'm telling you right now, let's go. NFL, please, let us do this. The Lions got screwed this year and were, until the last game of the year when it got flexed, not even on any primetime games. Not even placed on one night game until they were flexed in week 18. And how good of a showing did the Lions have? They were awesome on Sunday Night Football. Put on a clinic against Aaron, Mr. Darkness, and the Packers. It was awesome. Right here, right now, I'm telling you, I'm going to start pushing this. Lions, Chiefs to open the season. Who says no? It'll probably be it'll probably be Chiefs, Bengals. It'll probably be Chiefs, Bills. I get it. They've met in the playoffs the last few years. Give me KC, Detroit. Let's put Dan Campbell and the Lions front and center, opening the year at the defending champs at Arrowhead. You want to test the Lions to see if this is legitimate? That would be awesome. Oh man. I'm telling you, come on, NFL. Throw us this bone. People want to see that. When was the last time the Lions and Chiefs played? They played overseas. Didn't they play in Europe, in England, in London years ago? Didn't Jim Caldwell's team get smoked Lions Chiefs week 1. I'm calling for it. Please. Can we do it? I think we should do it. Meantime, people think the Lions can win the Super Bowl next year. Vegas has its odds out for the Lions in the Super Bowl next year. I just lost them, and I've got to get them back. Hold on. From Vegas, the odds to win the Super Bowl next year. Kansas City Chiefs, number 1, plus 600. Cincinnati Bengals, also, or plus 650, 850. Buffalo Bills, plus 900, come in third. Philadelphia Eagles, plus 900. San Francisco 49ers, plus 900. Dallas Cowboys, plus 1,400, sixth. Baltimore, 7th, plus 1,800. Chargers, plus 2,000. Detroit Lions, plus 2,500. Ninth best odds, according to the sports books in Las Vegas, to win the Super Bowl next year. How about that? Lions cracked the top 10, ahead of the Packers, who are also 2,500. Tied with Jacksonville, tied with the Jets, ahead of the Rams, ahead of the Dolphins, ahead of the Vikings, Giants. Choking here. Vegas loves the Lions. All right. I just had to throw that out there. I think that's pretty cool. Ninth best odds to win it all. Got to win a playoff game first. We got to walk before we run around here, but that would be ultra exciting. All right, coming up next, I heard some chatter about quarterbacks yesterday, and I want to bring this up because I think there was a misnomer. First, though, let's talk about our friends at FanDuel. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000, all right? Super Bowl's done. Want to bet on some basketball, a little NBA action? You could do it at FanDuel.com and on the app. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Think about it. You can bet on everything from the money line to point scores to how many three-pointers are hit, etc. All right, Pistons fans, do it. FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss a chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so over the weekend, it was announced that Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys won the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award for all of his work in the community, etc. I'm giving back to my community. You got to give it up to Dak Prescott, who's awesome in the Dallas Metroplex community, for winning that award. It was very, very cool. Walter Payton's kids were there. They introduced him at the game last night. The Eagles fans booed, etc. Jared Goff of the Lions, of course, Brandon Graham from the Eagles, and the Detroit Crockett's own were also nominees. So it was really cool for those guys to get some love and be out on the field at the Super Bowl last night. I don't remember who it was, but there were a couple of people having a discussion about Dak Prescott winning that award. And somebody said, well, if you really look at it in the NFC, Dak's likely the second best quarterback in the NFC. With all of these guys, Tom Brady retiring, Aaron Rodgers maybe moving on from Green Bay, although he's still a Packer now. The Niners having their kind of musical chairs at quarterback. Now Purdy's hurt. And everybody's like, well, Jalen Hurts took the Eagles to the Super Bowl. He right now is the best quarterback in the NFC. And Dak's probably number 2. No, Dak Prescott's not the second best quarterback in the NFC. You know who's the second best quarterback in the NFC? Matthew Stafford. Now, I am no big Matthew Stafford slappy. I'm not here to tell you that I've been this great Stafford fan. I've always liked him. I thought he came up short too many times here. We don't have to rehash old Locked On Lions shows when I talked about the Ravens and Giants games, Jim Schwartz's last year, where Stafford was horrible. I'm not doing that. But just because Matthew Stafford was injured for most of this season, came back from arm surgery, was never himself this year. Didn't have a good year and then missed the rest of the season with head injuries and everything else. I'd take Matthew Stafford, a healthy Matthew Stafford over Dak Prescott all day. Matthew Stafford's won a Super Bowl. And I think we forget about him. Now it's like, oh yeah, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott. Some people are even saying, what about Jared Goff? Hey, Jared Goff had a really good year this year. Made the Pro Bowl. But the second best quarterback in the NFC right now after Jalen Hurts is Matthew Stafford. It's not Kyler Murray. It's not Jared Goff. It's not even Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers didn't have a good year at all this year. Cost his team this year. It's not Justin Fields. It's not any of the Niners quarterbacks. It's not Geno Smith, and Geno Smith had a fantastic season. But he had one good year. It's not Daniel Jones. It's not whoever's in Washington. It's not anybody in the NFC South. All right? I mean, I could go through the names of Sam Darnold and Desmond Ridder. It's Matthew Stafford. Jared Goff is up there. Jared Goff's probably top 5, top 6 in the NFC, which is good news for the Lions moving forward next year, especially if Aaron Rodgers hikes his way out of Green Bay. Be all these lesser quarterbacks in the Lions conference, but we keep forgetting about Matthew Stafford, who I would take over Dak Prescott if he's healthy. So this talk about, oh, NFC quarterbacks are kind of weak. Maybe Dak. No, Stafford. He is. And Jared Goff, the way he played this year, has moved his way up into that discussion for sure. All right, we are back with another Locked On Lions for Tuesday tomorrow. Thanks for making us your first listen today, right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.